Start spreading the news.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
New York, I love you. I love New York.
Rose trying to get open, fires away. Bang! It's over! The Bulls win at the buzzer! Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James! LeBron James with the rejection. Puts up the three. Won't go. Rebound box. Back out to Allen. His three-pointer. Bang!
What's going on, people? Welcome back to another episode of the Off the Ball podcast with me, your host, Chris LeBron. And the playoffs are finally here. I am so excited. We are ready. Can't not wait for this first round matchup. And so I had to get my guy Josh from the Dime Podcast on the show to talk about this first round matchup and just everything Knicks oriented. Josh, my guy, what's going on?
Chris, thanks for having me on, man. It's been a blast having you on my show and being on your show and being Twitter friends. Nice to meet you in person. We met in person, which is cool.
Yes.
So
yes.
Yeah, and we were just talking before about how excited we are for the playoffs, and I just can't freaking wait. It's finally here.
It's finally here, bro. And like we mentioned before we started out before we went live, how for me the regular season was just whatever. Like whatever happened, there was some frustrations. We had a little, there was a little down period, around like the New Year time, and then we win 7 in a row, whatever it was. Like, and I was just like, none of this matters to me. I just want to get to the playoffs because that's what we'll see this team. And I think this team is more built for the playoffs than it was in the regulars. And guess what? We still won. We still won 354 games. The most games since in over a decade. So with all the frustrations people had, they still won over 50 games again in our top 3 seeds. So for you, what was your thoughts about the season as a whole? New coach, new offense, a couple new pieces, what was your thoughts on this season as a whole?
My thoughts on this season, well, there's 2, and I'll start with the mostly positive one, which I think this team is significantly better than last year's team. I think we've romanticized last year's team a lot. I mean, there was a lot of frustration going into the playoffs last year because that team couldn't beat anybody worth of note. They lost every game to the Cavs. They lost every game to the Thunder. They lost every game to the Celtics. I'm talking like getting smacked. These games weren't close.
Yeah, that Thunder game where we lost by 4.
Yeah. I mean, even the Celtics, we got smacked by the Celtics in 3 out of the 4 games. Mm-hmm. So, going into the playoffs last year, I'll be honest with you, I didn't think they'd even sniff the Eastern Conference Finals. I was like, if we could take 1, maybe 2 against Boston, I'd be happy. And then what happened. And now because of what happened, we look back at last year's team, and I think we romanticized it a little bit. But last year's season, to me, was way more frustrating than this year's season, even though I do think there was a lot of frustrations this year. A lot of it came with a new head coach. Experimenting. We saw different rotations throughout the whole year, which that's what I'm going to remember this season for. Like Tyler Kolek was a huge part of the reason why the Knicks won an NBA Cup, and all of a sudden he can't see the floor. Jordan Clarkson.
That frustrates me, dog. As a guy who's a top, on the conductor of the Tyler Kolek, train, and someone who was ecstatic when they drafted him. That time period, he was cooking, and then he was like 10 minutes, 5 DNP.
Yeah. And he's the best passer on the team. He's the best
playmaker. And I've said this, and I don't know if I told you, but I've said this on a bunch of Knicks shows. We don't have playmaking. He's the best playmaker. Find a way to get. I know defensively he struggles at times, especially on pick and roll and stuff, but that's fine. That's fine. We have enough guys that can make up on the back end.
Right.
We need him on the court. He's the best playmaker. It's clear cut, even better than Brunt. He's the best playmaker.
Not even close, and it's not even close.
Playing. That's the one thing. And I like the Mike Brown signing, and I've liked what he's done for the most part. But that's the one thing. I'm like, why this? I get you want vets, and this is a win now team, but he helps you. I know he's a youngin, but he helps us.
No, I mean, not just the San Antonio game, but that game, the Christmas game against Cleveland. He was fantastic. Like he's had moments this year. But that's what I think about this team. Like Mohamed Diawara was in the rotation for a little bit. Like there wasn't a stable rotation, and Mike Brown was just experimenting. And then with like 4 games left to go, he figured out, oh yeah, we could run a Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns pick and roll. That actually exists. So, I
think he experimented too much.
I think
Usually by the break, you'd be like, all right, I think I know what I want. Unless you make like major trades and something like that happens or a big injury happens, I can get like trying to figure things out. But like that wasn't really the case, really. So like he experimented damn near to the end of the the season.
Yeah, and then even with our offense, like the beginning, it was running and a lot of passing and off ball movement, and then it stopped, and it was like, all right, we're going back to kind of Brunson ball a little bit, and now it's back to off ball. Like, it's just like he's just figuring it out. And as a Knicks fan, we're on this roller coaster with him. And at times it's exhilarating because it looks fantastic. And at times, like that 2-9 stretch in January, it looked like the world was ending. So it's been a very inconsistent season, to say the least. And I say that, and they've won 53 games. Like, what are we complaining about here? I trust this team more this year than I do last year. And I'm looking forward to the playoffs. I mean, the reality of the situation is, and I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but it's just really not, all right, can we beat the Celtics again? Like, that's what I'm thinking right now. Like, can we beat the Celtics again?
Which is crazy to think, because we thought when JT went down with that Achilles in the playoffs that we're not going to see them. So Boston's one less team we have to worry about, right? One less team we got to worry about. We got to worry about the Cavs and maybe Detroit, right? That was like, maybe Detroit I didn't think, 60 wins. Number 1 seed, but we're like maybe, but now it's like, oh, he's back. He's playing like the Jason Tatum of old, and they're the 2 seed, and Jaylen Brown's gonna get MVP considerations. He's gonna be only NBA first team most likely.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Detroit 60 wins, and they played. Not to say that they are good. They can do stuff without Cade, but they played really good without Cade at the end of the year.
Good, man. Everyone's underrating Detroit, and I don't understand why. This was the best team in the East all season. Like it, I think a lot of basketball media has like this formula in their head where it's like you have to take certain steps to get to where you're going. But the Pistons are really good, man. They can win the East for sure. A lot of people are underrating them.
Yeah, and they're young. I just question, I think they can struggle with scoring points at times.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think that's the one thing that could really nip them in the butt potentially. Maybe not in the first round. First round, they should take care of business. Regardless if it's the Hornets. I know the Hornets they're on fire. And they've been
everybody loves the Hornets now. Oh, look
out. We'll see how they do in the play-in, because they haven't had great play-in success. So we'll see how LaMelo is. And I've been harsh on the LaMelo too. But I got to give them credit. But Detroit, the Cavs are going to be. I don't know what to make of the Cavs at all. Going into in this East. So it's just really interesting. But let's talk about this matchup. It's round 2. It not as much sizzle as what happened the first time around. When we played the Hawks and Trae Young, and the magnitude of that, and him taking care of business versus us is different because he's not there. He's in. Unfortunately, he's in Washington. I feel sorry for anyone who has to play for the Wizards, but nonetheless, we don't have to worry about Trae Young this time. But it's a very different team without Trae Young. And I'm very interested to see how this works in the playoffs. Because like I mentioned before, we're kind of with the Knicks, like we all know in the regular season, you're playing a bunch of bad teams on back-to-back. They might not play. This guy's out, so it's a different basketball when you get to the playoffs. So I'm really interested to see how this Hawks team is going to look without having a true floor general on the court. So that's going to be interesting. But Jalen Johnson, all-star season, feels like he got triple-double over here. To kill Walker Alexander. They got some good young pieces in there. Daniels was almost defensive player of the year last year. Yeah. So what's your feeling about the initial thoughts on this matchup? Because I know, I was hoping it was Toronto so we can go spank them real quick.
If it was Toronto, there would have been a single Knicks fan who wouldn't have picked the Knicks in 4. We all would have been like, sweep, get them out of here.
5-0 this year against them. Like, and I think it's like, I don't even know. I think we beat
like
them
not
more.
even close. And not even close.
Not even close. It's been a pure, put a whooping every time. But, we got the Hawks and we got to see. So how do you feel about the matchup right now?
I mean, the Hawks are an incomplete team to me. They're in their infancy. Like, this is the beginning of what
really
they're
hard
eventually. Kind of similar to Detroit last year, but not really, because this is like the third iteration of the team this year. I mean, they had Trae Young, they made a trade for Trae Young, they traded DeAndre Hunter, then they figured everything out. They added CJ McCollum, and all of a sudden they start winning some games. I like the Hawks. I think they're a solid team, but I don't think they're on the same level as the Knicks. I've been on Twitter for the past day and a half, whatever it's been, ever since we found out that they're playing the Hawks, and I cannot believe the amount of people who think the Atlanta Hawks have a shot in this series. And I don't care how arrogant that sounds as a Knicks fan, and anybody who knows me knows that I'm not that. I am not an arrogant Knicks fan.
Me either. Yeah. I'm confident in this one.
I'm a very objective Knicks fan. The Hawks are a solid team. They're not beating the Knicks 4 times. They're not. I'm sorry. My thing with the Hawks is they have to get out and run, which they can do. They have athletic forwards, they have length, but they can be had in the paint. And I think Mitchell Robinson and Karl-Anthony Towns are going to eat them alive. Mitchell Robinson. I saw a tweet from a Hawks fan who has a YouTube channel. He was saying, "You're going to tell me Mitchell Robinson's going to have an effect on the series?" Yeah, I am. I actually might even tell you he might be the MVP of the series.
Sixers, the
Have you watched basketball for the past 2 years? Yeah, he's going to have an effect for sure, 1,000%. And I just trust the Knicks in the half court when the game slows down and at the end of the games more than I trust the Hawks. We're talking about the Knicks are the best team in the fourth quarter, the best team, like period. Highest ranking,
like one of the best clutch teams, especially defensively in the fourth quarter. Like so
you're giving me the best team in the half court and in the fourth quarter against a team that just formulated a half a year ago, doesn't really have a point guard, can't really figure out things in the half court. Come on, like what are we doing here? I'm not saying the Hawks can't win a game and make things interesting. I'm not even saying the Knicks are going to kill them every game. But this idea that they can take 4 out of 7 against a team that has been playing together for years, that knows each other, that has chemistry, that is battle tested, and has home court advantage, give me a break, man. Like, and I don't say that to insult the Hawks. Like, that's not what that is. To me, it's more of like put some respect on our name, man. Like, at some point, you got to respect the New York Knicks as being, a perennial playoff team, period. You don't got to pick us to win the East. You don't got to pick us to win the NBA Finals. But to sit here and act as if, we're this huge question mark where we can't get past 6-seed Atlanta Hawks team is absolutely insane. It's insane. And that's not me asking to be an underdog. That's asking me to be a favorite. That's asking me to put respect on our names. And I am like in disbelief at the sheer disrespect that people have for the New York Knicks right now. It's insane to me.
Yeah, there's been this constant with the Knicks, like, oh, they can't do this against good teams. Questioning suddenly Jalen Brunson.
10 games above 500 against teams over 500 this year.
But everything with New York, it gets, if we lose one game versus a good team, it's like, oh, that's the end of the. And I think the Stephen A effect is a massive thing too. Like when he goes on his show and he says something, that gets very blown up. And I get people saying to me, oh, you see, I was like, I don't watch anything Stephen A Smith related. That's not who I go to for my basketball. When
was the last time anybody claimed Stephen A Smith as a Knicks fan? Anybody? Never.
He used, what's crazy? He used to be like, and then once he got he got big, it was a wrap. But you
can't find one Knicks fan since the Melo era who was going to point to Stephen A. Smith and say that man represents us.
He doesn't. So I just with the Brunson stuff, he went at Josh Hart. It was all comedy and stuff. But for the Hawks, I think, like I said, this is a very different team without Trae Young. So and obviously they played a lot better, especially the back end of the season. Nikhil Walker-Alexander played good. Jalen Johnson was a monster all season. So but like I said, interesting to see what to do in the half court when you need that those clutch possessions where Trae Young was the difference. For you against 4 or 5 years ago when we played them the first time. Now you don't have that. So they're going to be very reliant on 3. And it's hard to when you go through regular season, and I try not to. I learned my lesson from when we played Miami, and they were the 8th seed, and we played them and we beat them 3 out of 4 times, and the last game was like 2 weeks towards the end of the season. So I was like, and we had dominated on the boards. We put it to them, and I was like, oh, we're gonna win that series, and we're gonna go to the finals, and we lost. So I try not to put too much emphasis on regular season. Like I said, it's also a very different game. We know that. But for the Hawks, they were close in a lot of games, and they won. They it was we beat them 2 out of 3 times, but the other 2 games were relatively close, and they beat us by double digits in the one game they won. But the 3-point ball was the difference. I think that's one thing we need to just, because they have nothing to lose, and teams like that, they're gonna launch it. So I think that's something we need to just make sure that we take care of as far as defensively. Just being crisp on our switches and stuff, and making sure we don't get them leaving open and having them feel good. Because once you lead an underdog team like that go, things can start getting a little tricky. So I think the one thing the Knicks really need to hammer on is really protecting the 3-point line. Because if they do that, this should be a easy 4 to 5 game series win.
Yeah, and you can convince me the Hawks get hot from 3 in game 3 or game 4, and they take a game from the Knicks.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. but to win 4 out of 7 times is just not happening in my mind.
Yeah.
And, I like CJ McCollum. CJ McCollum to me has been, one of the more underrated players in the league throughout his career.
Yeah. Always 20 points a game every year.
Yeah, but he's an older. He's not really a natural point guard. He has handle. He can do it. And so you have him running the point. It's going to be him or Jalen Johnson. They don't really have anything in the half court that I've seen that makes me like, how's that? How are we going to guard that? Outside of maybe Onyeka Okongwu being able to stretch the floor as a big man, maybe that will give whoever's guarding him some problems. But at the end of the day, like this team just doesn't have anything that scares me. And when I hear people talk, I've watched a couple shows and I've seen a couple comments on Twitter. People are like, well, how are they going to guard? You have 5 guys who can. It's like, yeah, we've guarded Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown on the same. You think we're scared of Dyson Daniels? Give me come on, bro. Like, and that's no disrespect.
No.
To me, it's more of just like, you're not respecting us. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. And I'm being very confident and maybe a little arrogant about this series, but I think it's just more the frustrations of a Knicks fan being like, damn, like we are a perennial playoff team. We've been talked about as being contenders. We've won 53 games in a year that everybody says we're inconsistent, and still there's just no respect on a name.
No, 100%. I think Cat's going to have a great series. I think this series, because this is the type of series, because the Hawks just don't have the size. I mean, Onyeka Okongwu was 6'9", 240.
Jock Landale's hurt. Like
they have some guys injured too, and I think Onyeka's hurt. I think he has a hand issue or something. So this should be a series. If you're Mike Brown, hey, we got to feed the big man. We got to feed the big man, because there's been a lot of things with him. His numbers were down this year. From the 3-point line, we're down overall points per game, efficiency, all that.
Yeah.
He's still very obviously just as important as Jalen Brunson. And we need to get him going. And this is the series to get him going. Hey, I think they should feed him, get him going, and let him get his confidence going. So, we could take care of business and get ready for, like I said, it's very we sound arrogant. And it's crazy. You mentioned before, we are probably the 2 most I don't even know the word I'm trying to look for.
Objective, level-headed.
Objective Knicks fans that
You're not going to catch us on Spaces talking crap about anybody or pumping our chest. I don't go into Spaces screaming at other teams.
No, I haven't been in a Knicks space this whole season.
And I just think, even with the Dime, so I have a podcast, at Dime with Josh and Kwab. It's on YouTube. If you go to our playoff prediction, we have 70% of our comments are like, Hawks in 6, Hawks in 7. I don't know. And it's like, what are y'all talking about?
You're just saying stuff to say stuff.
I don't want to, again, I don't want to insult the Hawks. It just comes across as disrespect to a team that has been perennial playoff contenders for the past 3 years now. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. I think it's because of the games have been close in the regular season and they took one.
Yeah,
I think that's probably why, and they're probably people are Hawks fans are probably what are you saying? Every game was close and we kicked y'all butt in one of those. But like I mentioned, the regular season is one of those. I think one of those games Catwood didn't even play.
He did
you
it.
know.
No, he didn't.
And like I said, and then I think there's one game where it was the Trey Young team. So
And I'm sure Mitch missed a game there. Mitch
I'm just really confident that the Knicks are going to take care of business in 5. I think this is Knicks in 5. Like I said, the Hawks have overachieved this year without, especially trading Trey Young, and I thought they would bottom out, and they wound up playing really good and put themselves in a good position to have good future. They have some good players, and they have something that they could potentially build on for the future. But I just think this Knicks team is just, they're built for the playoffs. I think in the half court set, they're going to take care of business. I think Cat's going to have a really big series. Yeah. And I just don't think they have enough size to handle us. I think we're going to kill them on the boards with Mitch and Carl. And I think we're going to take care of business. And I'm just confident that if this is a 6-7 game series, maybe we got to be a little bit concerned that, hey, why do we go? But I feel good that this is, I won't know if it's so sweet, because they might take a game, because like I said,
I'll give them a game.
In Atlanta, they'll hit 25 threes and take one. But I think this is a 5-game series, and Knicks should take care of business.
I agree. I got the Knicks in 5. No disrespect to Atlanta. I just think that there's tiers to this in the Eastern Conference, and I just think these are teams on 2 different tiers.
Yeah. So I feel good. I feel good about this team. I feel good about. Do you feel good about the rest of the way? Do you feel like this Knicks team, if they take care of business versus Atlanta, do you feel good heading the rest of the way? Because what next? It would be round 2 would be
Celtics. Or yeah. I don't know how I feel. I got to see how they play against Atlanta. This is a team where, when they look really good, when the Knicks look their best, I watch them. I'm like, that team can win the whole thing.
Right. It's true.
And then they have moments where I'm like, they can't beat anybody. Oh my God, like they can't beat anybody. Let
me ask you this.
Yeah.
The Knicks get to the finals because of this reason. The Knicks don't get to the finals because of this reason.
I mean, the Knicks get to the finals with Karl-Anthony Towns. It's Karl-Anthony Towns. If Mike Brown feeds a Karl-Anthony Towns, you need him. You need to figure that out. And then also, if they could limit other teams trying to expose Towns and Brunson on the other end of the floor. But Towns has been much better defensively this year. That's one of the things that a lot of people haven't really talked about. And then Jalen has the ability to hold his own. He doesn't always, but there are times where Jalen actually plays decent defense. So I would say those 2 things. The Knicks make the finals if Karl-Anthony Towns is involved with the offense and they're running pick and pop, pick and roll. And also Jalen and Cat can hold up on the defensive end.
Who's the biggest X factor on this team?
Josh Hart.
Joshua. I think it is too.
If you get a confident Josh Hart who's not afraid to shoot the basketball, if he plays the way he played against the Sixers in that first round series, what are you going to do? Okay, play off of him. Put a big on him and put that big 15 feet away from him. Have fun. And to me, Josh is just such an engine, man. It's not just the 3. If he's confident, he can get into the paint and score. He's a fantastic playmaker on the break. He's a good rebounder, both offense and defensive rebounder. And then he's also a pretty underrated defender as well. We talk about OG, we talk about Mikal Bridges, but there are times Josh Hart does, before they got here, it was Josh Hart and Quentin Grimes who are our 2 guys, who were our stoppers. So like Josh has the ability to do so too. But to me, if the Knicks get good Josh Hart, I'm so confident in this team.
Yeah. If we get the Josh Hart versus Indiana, that's going to be bad for us. But if we get the Josh Hart, like you said, to play, in the first 2 against Boston early in the playoff, then that's a whole different, Knicks team. So we need that version of Josh Hart. We need the bench. I wonder who, what the bench is going to look like. Who he feels that's in the thing. Because even Jordan Clarkson went from not playing, playing. Like I said, the Kolick stuff. There's a whole bunch of factors. Who he's going to play. So I'm very interested to see what the bench looks like, especially who he trusts with the ball in his hand when Jalen's out of the game. That's going to be interesting. But I'm with you. I think it's really simple. If we need Cat to be Cat, we need him to be All NBA. He's not going to be All NBA this year, most likely, but we need the All NBA Cat and that version, or who was with Minnesota went back when they went to the conference. We need that version. If that version's there and he comes back to the numbers he had last year, then we can make a run and we get past Boston, and then we beat Boston. It's just like last year. We have a chance to, feel good to go into the finals. But if he's not that version, then we're not going to go very far. We won't go very far.
And I'll be honest with you, to me, that's on Mike Brown. I mean, Cat's been you hear after every single game that the Knicks lose, and they ask Karl-Anthony Towns about his role. He's like, I'm just trying to play my role. I'm trying to figure it out. It's like, Cat, it's game 75. Please figure it out.
We're in the first round playoffs. I don't need you to figure things out.
But the last few games, they're running pick and roll, pick and pop for Karl-Anthony Towns, especially in the fourth quarter. Look what's happening. I mean, we saw last year in Detroit. He took over game 3 in Detroit. That was the biggest game of the series, and Cat hit the 2 biggest shots of the next season at that point. So for me, it's like, we got to get that Cat, but Mike Brown has to utilize that Cat. And, from my understanding with the offense, a lot of it is, kind of just go out there and play. And if that's the case, as the point guard, Jalen Brunson has to make sure Karl-Anthony Towns gets the ball in the right spots. You got to bring him up to run pick and roll. Like, you have to make that decision. So that's on Jalen as well. Yeah.
I think this is probably the most pressure he's had so far in the NBA and as a New York Knicks, because now it's like, okay, you've gotten the honeymoon phase with Jalen it's coming towards the end. It's like, okay, brother, you've helped us get back to to be respectable and all this, but we need you to, because last year was disappointing. It was the first time we got to the conference finals in a quarter century. That was cool, but we should have won that series. And we know what happened in game 1.
Game 1 was everything. Game 1 was everything.
And like we should have we shit the bed. We should have won. But now it's like, hey, there's real expectation. This is a legit, hey, we should be at least in the finals. So can he handle that? Him being a point guard, not just, we know he could do scoring, but putting guys in the right positions, being a better playmaker, that's going to be essential. That's going to be very essential. And he's done a better job of that, so can he do that? Will he feel the pressure? So I'm interested to see how that, because if things go sideways and he's one of the main culprits, how ugly, Josh, how ugly things get.
I know. I can't see it happening with you.
I can't see it happening, but I'm just saying, it could, if it does happen, it could get ugly.
I mean, I'm already seeing people kind of turn on
I saw it last year.
What's wrong, bro?
It's crazy. I just get it. But I just don't get it. But I hate to be negative, but let's just say things just go off the rails and we lose this series. Are you at all worried about what could possibly happen? Because like I said, I'm very confident we're going to beat Atlanta. I'm very confident, but you just never know. Things can happen, injury here, whatever. Is there some part? Maybe this is to be a natural pessimistic Knicks fan, and we've seen a lot of bad stuff happen, and just the heartbreak. We've seen a lot of heartbreak. Are you at all worried if things don't go the way we think it should go this year, that this team could look a lot different going forward in the future?
I'm 100% confident that if it doesn't go the way that we think it's going to go,
it's going to go
I think the Giannis thing is real. I don't like it, if I'm being honest with you. But I think where there's smoke, there's fire. I also think one of the two of OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges are going to be gone if something happens here. I think there's going to need to be some type of shakeup. I think there are already questions about whether or not Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns can win as a duo who, playing defense the way they play. And I think there might be some need to bolster up the defense. I think Jalen stays, but there's a chance that Karl-Anthony Towns goes. So, there's going to be changes for sure.
Yeah, I said, I just wanted to bring this little pessimistic side of me to just if things go bad, things can go it could be nasty, and then we can we're your boy already has all our picks in Brooklyn, I just this if things go bad, we've got no picks. It's not like we can fall back. At least we have our picks, and if things go bad, no, we don't got those things. And I hope we can get him on the pod too, because I want to talk about the Nets and how
draft time, man. You got to get him on there.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about
time when there's something to talk about.
yeah, because I know last draft, I told him I think I went, those would have been my selections, but I'm interested to see how he feels about this upcoming class and stuff. But we'll save that. But so Knicks in 5.
Knicks in 5 for sure.
Knicks in 5, right? Yeah, I'm gonna go. I think Knicks in 5. Like I mentioned before, I think this is a big Cat series. I think Cat, shows out in this series. I think he has a monster series. I think we take care of the boards. I think Mitchell Robinson, won't play heavy minutes. Because I think we should take it. We should be good. With him not playing heavy minutes, save him for for Boston potentially.
Yeah.
They go
up 3-0, rest them in game 4. Like that's
don't even if they're up 3-0, don't even bother. Just rest them up and get ready for Boston, which should be but I want to get ahead of myself, don't want to look too far, but I feel good. I feel good about that. But any other thoughts you have on this Knicks playoff, the season, anything related to this Knicks, this potential playoff run? I know I'm excited, nervous, all those things, all up in one, but any closing thoughts?
I mean, my closing thoughts really are just that it really is kind of a make or break season for this franchise. Really if this team goes to the finals and wins the finals, and everything that Leon Rose and company have done for the past few years is worth it. But if they fall short, and by falling short, I mean losing to Boston in the second round too, I think this franchise goes in a different direction. I can't really picture a scenario in which, Leon Rose continues to work with the same core. So that's what I'm thinking. I mean, right now I'm looking ahead to Boston. Like that's where my head's at. They say don't look ahead. Don't underestimate your opponent. Well, you know what? I'm not shooting the basketball.
You're fully underestimating it.
I have nothing to do with whether or not the Knicks win or not. So I am looking forward.
You're right.
Yeah. To me, the series against Boston's everything. It's everything, because you can convince. Let's just say they beat Boston and they lose to 7 against the Pistons, a team they got smacked by 3 times in a season, right? Mm-hmm. You can say we were 1 game away again, blah, 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 blah. And then depending on how they win or lose, you can still convince the Knicks fan base, and you can still convince the team itself, hey, we're right there. So there isn't need to make major changes. But if they lose in the first round, or if they lose to the Celtics like in 5 or 6, then it's hard to sell to the fan base, and it's hard to sell to the team that, like, hey, we can actually do this with a healthy Tyrese Halliburton coming back. And then
that's the thing, because the East is just going to get better.
The Hawks will be better next year.
The Hawks will
the
be
Hornets
better.
are going to be better next year. Like, it's going to be a completely different next year.
And that's been my thing. I've been saying as like this really is the year, because the East is just going to get better, and we got to get it done this year. It has to, because like I said, we don't have the assets, and like if we I'm not doing something so drastic, like what potentially could happen if they don't beat Boston in the next series, like it could, like that's massive, and we don't know how that'll work. If it is let's say it is Giannis, we don't know how it's going to work. Everyone thought Dame and Giannis would work. I thought that would be a smooth transition, and that's
not Giannis at all.
Milwaukee cut Dame and said, we'll eat the money.
Right.
We just don't want him on the team. And then the whole thing, like, so we don't even know. And Giannis has been dinged up too. He's had a lot of injuries.
I am not team Giannis. Do not want anything to do with him. I don't.
And like maybe 2 years ago, I'm all let's go. Yeah. But now I just don't know. So that's what's scary. That's the one part that's scary. If we don't get past Boston, and especially how it looks, I think, like if they handle us.
Yeah, if they win in 5 or 6, forget it.
Yeah.
So, Dolan's going to lose. Dolan's going to mess it up again. He's not going to be able to take it.
I don't worry about he's always lurking. He got that itchy trigger finger. He's just waiting, because he knows that, like, hey, he wants a star. Right. Like, he wants a star, a superstar.
Well, you got Jalen. But I get what you're saying.
No,
Giannis is like worldwide.
Giannis is box off. Giannis, you put billboards and you can sell, whatever you want in New York with Giannis. So I think he'll have the itchy. But let's stay positive, Josh. Get some positive juju.
1 game at a time.
1 game at a time. Game 1 is Saturday, I believe, 6 p.m. At the Garden. It's going to be insane. I won't be there because you got to sell a kidney to get into the Garden, and I like my kidneys.
I might go to Atlanta, though. It's cheaper to go to Atlanta. Put yourself in a hotel room.
I think someone did a side by side. Like
you might as well. You might as well make a trip and go to Atlanta.
Yeah, it's cheaper to go to Atlanta than fly there. You don't have to get the hotel. If you just want to make it a day thing, fly there, ticket, go home. It's cheaper than getting one of the cheapest tickets in the Garden. And we don't live that far from the Garden, relatively. And it's still, So I won't be. I don't think I'll be at any playoff games. But Saturday is going to be must watch. Game 1. Josh, my guy. Thanks for giving me some of your time. I know you're a busy man. Appreciate it, man. And before we go, where can people find you?
Thanks, Chris, for having me on. Definitely have you on during draft season as well. So
yes, can't wait.
That's going to be a great time. Listen, we have a YouTube channel, me and my co-host Kwab, The Dime with Josh and Kwab. So please follow that, subscribe to that. We cover the whole NBA. I'm a Knicks fan, but I cover the whole NBA. So if you want some NBA coverage, subscribe to the channel there. You can follow me everywhere at Josh_Rodriguez_ and The Dime is at The Dime NBA.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The great show they have over there. Can't wait to talk draft with them. You can follow me Off the Ball Pod on all social media platforms. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment on the YouTube channel. I just posted my NBA draft show with my guy Tyler Rucker from No Ceilings. We talked about the Knicks draft, the 3 draft picks they had on their mock draft. We went into deep about the big class, some bigs the Knicks may be interested. So check that out. That was a good one. Have more draft content as we go along. I'll be on Josh's pod, once we, hopefully it's a farther along, for the Knicks making a deep playoff run. We don't got to worry about that soon. But we'll be on and we'll talk draft. But on that note, be well, be safe, take care. Peace out, guys.
Start spreading the news.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
New York, I love you. I love New York.